Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Coach's Corner, live here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. I'm Nate Mullins. I'm joined today by my special guest, Fremont Ross head football coach, Chad Long. How we doing, bud?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well, Coach. Thanks for joining us, spending some time with us, taking a little schedule portion of your schedule out for us. I really appreciate this because I know it's a long drive over from Fremont.
I have family over here, so it works out.
All right, so once again, we're here at Benchwarmers. Folks, if you can, please do us a favor. Share the video, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. But if you share the video, it helps us reach new audiences. We really appreciate it. Also appreciate the fine staff here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. You want to call in an order right now? They're still doing deliveries, folks. Get your order in, or you can come on in and see us. We'll be here for at least another 45 minutes or so. So come on out and join us here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Coach, let's talk some football.
It's about time, right? We've been waiting all summer long, and then here we go, week one.
I was talking with Judd the other day, and he said he had a clock with 270-some days from the last time until game one. I said, man, that is a long time without football.
It is. I'm ready for, high school football, college football. Yeah, it's that time.
Absolutely. So talk to you a little bit about your time as a player first. I want to talk a little bit about your background, just history, for anybody who's not familiar with Chad Long, the person, before we get into Chad Long, the Fremont Ross head coach. So now, former state champ, Clyde, 1995. What is it?
Yeah.
30-year anniversary now?
Yeah, something like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Talk about how that experience kind of shaped the kind of coach that you've become.
I had a great coach. Bob Bishop was our head football coach back then, and I had the privilege to be able to play varsity when I was a freshman, and back then that's when they only took 4. So we were undefeated and didn't make the playoffs, and that was probably in the best football team in the history of Clyde.
Wow.
And they get to make the playoffs, and then the next year we were state runner-ups, and then we were state champs in '95. So some great coaches throughout, that I've learned from. As a young person, I knew I was going to coach. I knew I wanted to be a teacher, and there's a lot of things I banked away of how to do things, how to run programs. So I learned a lot from them, and I still carry a lot of things I do today from what those guys showed me back then.
Absolutely, and that's the pedigree. I mean, you learned it there, and you've carried it with you.
Yeah.
Now, you played at BGSU.
Yep.
Played a little bit of time with the Falcons. Your senior season, played a little bit under Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. What lessons did you learn from your time with that program? Maybe some of them that still influence your approach now.
Well, Urban, who's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame at the first game of the year at BG, I learned a lot from that man. We had always a love-hate relationship, but we both had the same goal. We wanted to win. What that guy did was took a program that was struggling 3-8 and turned it around to 8-3.
Yeah.
So what I took from there is he challenged a lot of players and a lot of coaches, and he just didn't challenge. He demanded excellence every time he stepped on the field, whether it's practice in the weight room or whatever you do. We need excellence, and he had a lot of fear, but he also backed it up with wins, and we believed in him. Our senior group believed in him. We're still best friends. We meet every probably 3-4 years. We get together. Urban sneaks in, comes in the BG, makes sure all that senior group stays together, and we're always communicating. But amazing guy, X's and O's, and he just knew weaknesses of the programs and how to challenge them, and he turned the program around, and we were very successful. Yeah,
and it's a time that everybody still talks about with BGSU. I mean, that was a time that they like you said, they went from 3-8 to 8-3. It was almost like an instant turnaround kind of thing. And people still talk about it like it's lore.
And it's great because what he did is he just didn't talk it. He did it.
That's right.
So he was on the campus. He's walking through, grabbing students to get them to come to our games because we really didn't have a packed, game until he got there. And it just brought a lot of excitement. And, that year we were able to beat Missouri. We were able to beat Northwestern in overtime, and they were co-Big Ten champs. So, and that was all during 9/11. And I'll say this, Eddie George is now there, and getting the vibes from talking to people that live in BG, it's like urban all over again.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now Eddie George, you want to know how he got to Bowling Green? Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer was the one that went out and personally got Eddie George.
Connections.
And what a beautiful story of how all that came about, where Urban calls up Eddie, says, Eddie, you got to come to Bowling Green. And Eddie's like, I'm pretty happy where I'm at and so forth. And Urban says, I'm telling you, you got this, this, and this. There's facilities are top notch, and you need to come here. And pretty simple. Eddie says, I'll think about it, whatever. And then he's thinking, man, I need a sign, from God to tell me this is the right place. He happened to have been driving, and he was in Kentucky, Bowling Green. He called Urban back and said,
wow,
I'll take the job.
All right. There was the sign. That's the sign. So that's a great story. That's really cool.
It's a true story, and we knew that before it even came out because Urban shared it with us.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Actually, Greg and Tommy were just over at BG yesterday shooting some shots for a commercial for Bowling Green as Route 30 Harley-Davidson's doing a partnership with them. They'll have a bike on the sidelines at every BGSU home game. So we're pretty excited about possibly partnering up with that.
That'd be cool.
Getting involved with that some way, shape, or form. I know Route 30's jumping on board with us as a sponsor for high school football this year. So
yeah, we got to shake the man's hand, and Tommy said, my goodness, I can't believe how big Division I running backs are.
Yeah, they get bigger.
Yeah, so once again, Coach, I mean, BGSU was a time in your life, but what happened after that? Like, what was your next step after you left BGSU?
So after I left BGSU, I ended up at Lakota. So I coached at Lakota for 1 year and taught there as well. And I was a wrestling coach and defensive coordinator at Lakota. Under Eric Brickman, who used to be our video guy at Bowling Green, but he was the head coach there. And then I ended up at Tiffin Columbian.
Wow.
And I was assistant coach there under Steve Gilbert. And then Jeff Wise, who I learned a lot from, who was a great defense coordinator for a long time, taught me a lot about football as far as how to break down film and everything else and so forth. And then Steve Gilbert, taught me how to run a program and have tradition. And, that tradition lives on now with Judd Lutz being there because Judd Lutz went through Steve Gilbert's program and the values and the beliefs and things like that. Absolutely love what Judd's doing, bringing that back. I think it was lost for a little bit, and he was able to bring it back. And Steve Gilbert, what a great man. He's my football dad, I like to refer him as. And I'm like his little stepson that he's, he didn't have, but he has. And so I learned a lot from him. And then from there, I went to Clyde for a couple years. And Mark Gibson was the head coach there. I got to coach with my brother, who was the defense coordinator. So when I didn't get the job at Colombian, I ended up going to Clyde. And I wanted to say I was there for 2-3 years. And then from there, I left and went to Fremont. And I've been there for 13 years. And this is my 10th year as head coach. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, you skipped over the whole part where you had to deal with me in high school.
You can look at it as a blessing because those trailers are not there no more.
The good old satellite building.
Yep.
So you spent how many years now at Fremont, Ross? You said 13 years?
This is my 13th year coaching.
Okay.
Nice.
And
you've been a wrestling coach for a while too, right?
I was a wrestling coach at Fremont. That's the whole reason for me moving that way. But also still the coach. But I became the head wrestling coach at Fremont. And then when I became the head football coach, I tried doing both for a year, and I felt like I was cheating both programs by doing that. And it was too much for me, so I stepped down for wrestling, and here I am continuing. I still help out with wrestling, but it's with the girls. My wife is the head girls wrestling coach. This will be going on her 5th year, and we're doing pretty good things with the wrestling program over there right now.
Your daughter's a wrestler too, right?
Yeah, actually all my daughters are. Jaden is going to be a senior.
I know Jaden. I've been following her story on Facebook.
She's been a state placer, state qualifier,
Yeah.
and then Kaylani was a freshman this last year. Poor girl just had bad luck, lost in overtime, and it would have ended up, putting her into the state tournament. So, and then Layla, my youngest, who's going to be a 6th grader, was state runner-up last year. So, yeah,
Breeding some champions over there.
Out of the girls, we'll see about Gunner coming up in the future. So
there you go. Now, how do you think that wrestling background's helped you? Like, how does that translate into how you develop some discipline and toughness on the football field?
Well, I mean, you can talk to many successful coaches. If you got a wrestler that's a football player, you got a player.
Oh yeah,
the grit
for sure.
The grit. You're going to see those guys. And you look in the NFL right now on offensive linemen and defensive linemen, how many of those guys wrestled and were state champs, national champs, and so forth. It helps. I mean, it's the grit, the grind, and the form, being able to tackle.
Yeah.
If you're a wrestler, being able to tackle, you're going to tackle well. You're not going to miss too many tackles.
And those guys aren't afraid of contact.
Yeah. Those are your hard-nosed kids. Some of your best kids on defense are wrestlers. You know that. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Teacher also at Fremont Ross? Do a little bit of teaching?
So
how do you balance that? I mean, being a coach and a teacher, especially game days, like that's got to be hard.
It is. So for 11 years, I have been at the Juvenile Detention Center.
Okay.
So I was a teacher out there. So it gave me a lot of flexibility to be able to go to the high school when I needed to and so forth. This year, I'm actually going to be at the high school.
Nice.
So I can't tell you what it looks like because I don't know.
Well, you're going to be in the hallways, though. You're going to be able to keep an eye on those guys.
Yeah, so
it's a whole new level of accountability, little Giants.
Oh, trust me. Ryan Norris, our principal, is so ecstatic of me being there because, I come there always at lunchtime, walk through the halls and stuff like that. But now to be there every day will probably be a lot better for me personally, but also for the school and stuff because, it's one of those things. If you have the presence and so forth, they're going to, do the right things and stuff like that. And I feel like our kids do the right things in the first place, or we got a very firm discipline and actions of what we do, the kind of character kids we like to have on our program, and they know the rules, and if they bust them, they sit.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Now let's talk football.
All right.
Let's get into this year. Let's talk about your roster.
Yep.
I want to look at your returning guys. Who are the leaders this year that have really picked up right where they left off last year, or stepped up big time?
I honestly, I would say Cole Myers would be my number one guy because he plays both ways, and he's a offensive lineman. He's 6'4", 350. Oh, you're going to see him. Yeah, he's going
to stand out for sure.
Yeah, he's a big boy. We really got him playing a lot of defense later in the season last year, and he became a two-way monster for us. A kid that size, you think, oh, he's not going to be agile. No, he's pretty agile, and he's pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so
we're excited.
I would say Cole Myers is that guy that I would say that we hang our hat on this year.
All right.
Marquez Williams is a defensive end. He was third-team All-Ohio last year, led our conference in sacks. Mason England, who is a two-way player. He's a corner, but he's also a receiver. He was all-conference both ways. Has an offer from Miami, Ohio. He's also a high jumper and went to state and high jump 6'7", 6'6", something like that. And we have another corner that just plays corner, and that's Kevin Jones. He has an offer. He was first-team all-conference. He has an offer from Miami, Ohio as well.
Do you want to offer it it?
Yeah. And Talon Brown, you guys will notice him in the backfield. He's a hard runner. He's also a defensive end. He's also brothers with Marquez Williams. So you'll get a good taste of him, I guess, once the game starts. He has been very good, I guess you can say, in the last two scrimmages right now.
Nice.
And he runs hard and stuff.
He's flashing.
Yeah. And we have multiple kids, throughout. Jackson Mackey is a hybrid, like Travis Kelsey type tight end that's going to do things, but he's also a linebacker for us. I love our defense. In the 13 years I've been at Fremont, I think this is the best defense we have had. In the secondary, and they're all underclassmen. It's just I really like it. We don't have a virus. We don't have an individual on our team this year that I can't say we've had in the past. So I really like the team. We have 8 out of 11 kids back on the defensive side.
Oh, nice.
So
all right. So yeah, that's a lot of experience coming back for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to note, we talked about the relationship between wrestlers and football. A thing that I think kind of gets overlooked sometimes, but I noticed in some of the area schools is track athletes in football. I notice a lot of the accolades and stuff that get noted about that. Like kids from Sycamore area, I heard a lot about like high jumpers and stuff like that. And you hear about them playing football a lot too. And I think the spotlight doesn't get on them as much,
I think the biggest thing that we're looking at now in this day and age is a lot of kids are starting to, focus on one sport. And college coaches ain't looking for just one sport athletes.
No.
They're looking for a gym that's just an athlete that likes to compete. And at Fremont, we have multiple kids playing multiple sports. Usually it's football, and then they'll play basketball or wrestle, either or, and then they'll be in track or baseball, either or. I don't care. I was a 3-sport athlete, and I want you to do everything.
Yeah.
We could worry about lifting and doing that stuff later.
For sure.
So, you only live once, but you can compete as a school that you represent your family, every day. You go out there on a sport.
And this idea that, colleges are out there looking for kids who are specializing in sports, I think, I don't know, maybe your travel ball coach is feeding you that, but
yeah, you got a lot of club coaches that will feed and say that. Urban Meyer loves 3-sport athletes.
Yep.
Everyone loves 3-sport athletes, and that's what they would rather have than a kid that specializes in one sport. You already know he's polished himself as good as he's going to be, where you take a kid that never been able to focus on that sport and allow him to do that, yeah, he's going to flourish.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now, any returning guys that has kind of like picked up their game, really stepped into maybe some new leadership roles this year?
Braylon Garza, he's going to be our quarterback this year. He was a backup last year, and he ended up, the time we were going to transition him to the starting quarterback, he blew out his MCL. So, well, he didn't blow it out. He sprained his MCL to the highest that you can. So he missed the rest of the season, So, but he's a slinger, man. He can sling the ball. He can run the ball. For us on the offensive side.
Fair enough. Now, which returning players do you think have made the biggest jump? Like the biggest jump out of anybody that you've seen so far this offseason?
I would say hands down it would be Dylan McDonald. He's a receiver for us, and he's our safety. And, man, is he amazing. He's the quarterback of the defense in the secondary. And he was a JV player. Never got any time varsity last year. So, hands down, I would say Dylan McDonald is our guy that made the hugest leap in bounds, and he's a multi-sport athlete. He just dedicated himself in the summer, and, man, he looks really good for us on both sides of the ball right now.
That's what I like to hear. Now, any newcomers, fresh faces, transfers, Little Giants faithful might not know, or maybe they should have circled on their scouting lists?
No, not really. No, we did have a kid transfer in that was a quarterback from Colorado. That was a 2-year starter there. He went back. He went back. He realized Ohio
went back in the transfer portal.
He handled Ohio football.
He went back and realized Ohio football is a little bit different than Colorado football. But he was a great kid, though. I won't mention his name, but he was a good kid, good leader in the weight room. But yeah, football is a little different here in Ohio than what it is in Colorado. So
yeah, there's levels to this.
But no, honestly, it's the next person up mentality that we have at Fremont. If you're good enough as a freshman and can play, we're going to play you.
Yeah.
So all these kids have had their roles in special teams along the way or has played. So no new faces, I can say, that's really going to stand out and say, where'd this kid come from?
Yeah.
So
now, I'd seen something somewhere about just the chemistry on this team. Like I've heard that this is becoming more like a brotherhood right now.
Yeah.
These guys are really like bonded. They're bought in.
Yeah.
What's led to that? What's clicked?
You know what?
Or is it just this group?
It's I would say the group aspect. I think the seniors is a really good leadership, but the juniors are really solid, and they're seniors and juniors do carries over the sophomore group, and the sophomore group has a lot of athletes in there too.
Yeah.
So it's just we had a survey we did at the end of the school year talking about, hey, what are some things that you guys want us to work on and so forth. and as a team and so forth. And we kept hearing things about brotherhood. So now we go with brotherhood of strength. We're only 1/11th, on the football field. You guys do your 1/11th, and we have a leadership committee and stuff for senior, juniors, and sophomores that kind of come in. We talk religious, we talk beliefs, we talk locker room, we talk how to be a leader and things like that. So, it's all really coming full circle right now. It's the way the Fremont program is going is the way I pictured it to be. And it's taken a long time. It really has. But I really like where we're at as a program in the classroom, on the football field, and off the field, in the community with our volunteer stuff and things that we're doing. Because we always get this bad image at Fremont of our kids and so forth. And, me growing up in Clyde, I looked at it, I was like, oh, boy, I don't want to go to Fremont. And here I am. I'm at Fremont, have a passion with these kids, and got a big community. Parent support is there. It's mimicking a little bit of almost what was at Colombian here when I was here.
Yeah?
Time. Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Now, you talk about – I want to talk a little bit about these underclassmen. They're not going to see the field during Friday nights, but your JV team. Is there anybody that really kind of stood out to you in camp? Maybe they might be putting themselves in position to earn a little bit of varsity time?
So we have this quarterback. He's a tiny little fella. His name's Landon Sims. He goes to these Peyton Manning camps and stuff like that. He's won for the last 2 years. If that kid was just a little bit bigger, holy cow. He's 135 pounds.
Oh.
Okay, and he's like 5'9".
What grade is he in?
He's sophomore.
So he's got a little bit of time yet to have a growth spurt.
Yeah. So but he's such, his decision-making is spot on. Everything he does, he just doesn't have the zip on it and so forth. He's going to be a good ball player for us in the future. He'll probably be a one-year starter, maybe a senior year. But he's pretty good. And then all our receivers are sophomores. They were really good last year as a freshman group. And we'll probably utilize those sophomores in a little bit on Friday, but really on Saturday, showcasing a lot of our speed. And there's a lot of athletic ability that we can use out of that sophomore group. I would say JV-wise, we got 5 running backs that we can use at any time. Okay, you got the slicers, the bruisers, and so forth. So it just depends on what we're wanting to do. That would be the person that would be in there, whether it's on Friday or on Saturday. Those are the type of guys we have. Our biggest concern is always going to be up front, with our O-line depth-wise. That's always going to be our concern, even on the varsity. When we get into our conference play and we have to do our crossover games against Perrysburg, Findlay, Whitmer, staying healthy. Yeah. That's always been our issue, is staying healthy, because that's a brutal start of the crossover games in our conference. So, but I feel our defense is where they need to be. Offense is working that way, even with the younger kids. They're going to be pretty solid.
Okay, all right. So you've been with these guys for a long time, and you talked about, it's taken you a little bit of time to get where you want it, but you're going where you feel like this program needs to be going now. Yeah. It's like a big ship. Fremont is the biggest program in this area, in our area.
Yeah.
When you consider everything that, Fremont St. Joe's over there, but you guys are the mothership over there. Yeah. And you're steering such a ship that kind of size. It's going to take a little while to get it going the way you want it to go. You know what I mean?
It does.
There's a lot of momentum to get something like that going the right way.
It does. A lot of people look at us and we're that big school. We're really not that big. We're 24 kids away from being D3.
Okay.
I
didn't know that. I thought you guys were a little bigger than that.
No, we're 24 kids away from being D3 in football.
Wow.
So a lot of people have that image. We are the biggest school. I will say that around. But we have a lot of more battles that we're fighting to get kids to come to sports than what people know. Because there's a lot of things that go on the outsides that a lot of kids just don't want to do it because they don't want to work.
How hard is it to get some of these guys to adapt to your expectations and the systems that you have in place?
So the kids we have, they know what's expected. It's the kids that we bring out that haven't been with us. sometimes it's too time consuming or too much, or, you know, in all reality, some of these kids, they have to be adults when they're in high school. So they're working. And if they have to pick between working and playing a sport that they kind of don't know, they're gonna work.
Yeah.
I always try to tell them, you live once as a kid. You know, you can work the rest of your life. But the problem is, it's not the reality of how it is for some of these kids. So, you know, the kids that buy in, they're loyal. They're going to be there and stuff. But it's tough. We don't have as many kids. We have 71 kids on our rosters, 9 through 12. Now, I will say, all around, all programs, their numbers are down. That's because our society and where we're at now with work, you know, being able to have to work to do stuff and specializations in the sports and stuff. You don't get the numbers like we used to.
Yeah.
Columbia the same way. They don't have the numbers like they used to, you know, and you can go through and point out, numbers are down. We're down about 12, 15 kids, but are those 12, 15 kids, are we really missing them? No. I really love our team that we have, and we've turned kids away because they waited until the last minute to want to come out, and we don't want you. You haven't dedicated yourself through the summer. We don't need you.
You got a lot of guys putting in work all summer long, and to have somebody come in and try to act like they belong there, it's like, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, not only are the coaches giving you a certain look, but everybody in that locker room's like, hey, man, you haven't been through here. You haven't been through these battles with us.
Nope. You haven't been through the grind.
Yeah.
And like you just talked about, you know, seeing the kids that know and recognize the blessing of being able to play the sport. It's nice to see them take advantage of that and actually, like you said, be dedicated, and that's the team you want right there.
I mean, those people you want to trust when it all comes down to. So,
all right, let's talk about this matchup with Colombian. Okay, this Friday, under the lights, Don Paul Stadium. What's the game plan? I mean, obviously you're not gonna lay it all out here for me, but like, what do you need to do if you want to be successful against their defense? What do you need to do?
You got to be good up front. Both sides of the ball, whether it's offensive line or defensive line. Last year, second half, they physically beat us up.
Okay.
So it starts there first.
I think the second half really turned.
It did. It did. That was
right about halftime. Right before halftime, they started getting a little bit more physical.
Yeah.
And then that third quarter, they just really started.
Yeah, they
pushing.
really started pounding us pretty good. I mean, some of our guys were getting thrown around. I was like, holy crap, you know, how is this happening? And it's just, they just came out second half and just put it to us. It happens up front. For us to be able to stop what Conley's doing on the defensive side, you got to have your eyes up, knowing where blitzes are coming, because he's going to have blitzes coming. And we got to be able to run the football. If we run the football, I feel that we'll be just fine.
Okay.
Defensively, Otney is the OC for their – you know, they do such a great job of masterminding, you know, the counterbacks and knowing where the 1 and the 3 tech is and coming back. They do a great job with that. And, you know, we got to be able to shift up and move our fronts around and bring some blitzes different ways and, you know, try to disguise. We're going to put pressure on Gooding.
Yeah.
You know, he's a young kid, you know, that just got back into playing after sitting out a year, and you know, we're going to bring some heat on them. I believe we can do that just with our D-line, since we have 3 out of the 4 back returning from last year, and you know, with Marquez being the leading conference sack leader last year for us, he's going to be quick off the edge. So we plan on them. We know they're going to run some things underneath Quez and stuff like that, but our linebackers, all 3 of them, started last year. So, you know, they'll be able – they have that good relations and feel of what's happening. So I feel good about, you know, this year, because last year they were all new starters, and this year I feel really good.
6 out of your front 7 are returning starters. Mm-hmm. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean –
you got to feel good about that.
Yeah, you got to feel good about that for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I'll talk about – offensive matchups. I mean, obviously you talked about the trenches, but skill positions, any other matchups that you think kind of tilt in your favor a little bit?
I think our size at receivers and tight end wise, we're 6 foot or taller.
Okay.
So Mason England, 6'4". Dylan McDonald is 6 foot 6'1". Jordan Mackey, 6'4" at the tight end spot. I feel like we can have some mismatch in the jump ball game if we have to against Colombian in their secondary. So I can see that as a little thing that we could actually do. So it'd be interesting to see how they try playing us as far as our receivers and stuff.
For sure. Now, when you go out there, you have obviously defensive background, but you got to have an offensive identity out there. And what kind of, are you more of a structured guy? You want to script your plays and have like a scripted set amount of plays, and then you got to go through that play no matter what, or are you going to pivot based on what you're seeing?
So I call the plays now on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll have our script to see how they line up and so forth, but doesn't mean we're always going to stay on that because you never know. I can't run a run play if it's 3rd and 10.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So you got to be able to adjust accordingly, and by watching films and stuff from last year as well as the last 2 scrimmages in which they have, we have a good feel of like what we can and can't do against Colombian's defense based off of that. So, yeah, we'll have our scripted formations and so forth to see how they align, but we also have other things that we'll try using. So I'm not one of the guys, these are my 15 plays, we're going to run them and see what they do and then come back and do whatever. No, we mix it up.
Okay. So when you break down film of this offense for Tiffin Columbian, what stands out to you when you look at their tendencies on film?
They got a really good running back. The Sights kid's pretty good running back.
He's pretty tough, man.
And granted, it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle for him because he has, 4 new guys up front? Mm-hmm. 4 of the 5, I think, are gone. It's a different line. That line they had last year they were pretty good.
Yeah.
They were big and physical. And everyone says, well, their record and stuff. Well, Newlev went down, and that was a big part of their complete offense.
Yeah.
He gave us fits last year, in that slot position and coming across the middle. He's awesome catching the ball and things like that.
They lost 2 out of their top 3 receivers last year.
Yeah.
Russell went down, I think, 4th or 5th game of the season, and then Newlev went down, so yeah.
So, I mean, you see Russell, he's always on a single receiver side. He's a threat, and he's probably their best athlete. And then I would say Sights, you always got to have guys in the box ready to go with that. They do a lot of really good things. Their route running, their concepts in which they do, it could give us fits if we're not in the right coverage and doing the right things.
For sure.
So
now, when I talked with Judd earlier this week, he said getting out to an early start's key, like a hot start. He wants to get out to a hot start. What does your defense have to do? Where do you have the best chance to make a statement early and kind of disrupt that rhythm?
It comes down to special teams. I think that's always been half the battle is getting the field to be on your side.
Yep.
Being able to pin them down, force them, to be on their heels on the defense aspect, have their offense on the heels. We know screens and everything's going to happen and so forth. And, just limit the big plays and the missed tackles. And I think we'll be fine on the defensive side, but it's all about field position is the key. They got a really good kicker. This first time I can say.
Yeah.
Colombian got a good kicker. And it's funny because
Connor's he's pretty good.
I've known Connor for a while from Biddy Wrestling and everything else. So, he's a good kicker. I seen him in the Galleon scrimmage kicking it down the 2-yard line and things like that. So, I'm impressed with that. But got to manage the field position.
That's right.
And turnovers.
Those are the keys. You heard him right here, Chad Long, with keys to the game. So special teams, you talk about it. It can swing the momentum really quickly. Is there an X factor, maybe a special teams player, maybe a matchup that you can see that fans should have their eyes glued on?
Well, they, being Colombian, they have Russell back deep. Mm-hmm. So at any time he could break one, you never know what can happen. I can't necessarily say we have an X factor. We have our skill guys that are back there. We typically have 3-4 touchdowns in special teams throughout the entire year. So I don't know. It's based on scheme and what's happening. So, I honestly think a lot will come down to special teams and field position in the game.
There you go, folks. All right, Coach, what's your message to the Little Giants fans out there that are watching at home? as your team gets ready to set to take the field?
We'll show up, or we'll be ready to play Fremont football, and we hope to have everyone show up and be there to support a great tradition and a nice little rivalry game that we have. And it's not a rival game, but it's a great game to dictate what's going to happen. For many years, it has always been whoever won that game had a very successful season, and it'll hold true. I think both programs are good programs, and let's just have a clean, good game and come out and support both sides of the ball.
There you go, folks. All right. Once again, I want to thank Chad Long, Fremont Ross head coach,
Thanks
for joining us on the program here on the Coach's Corner. Thanks to the friendly staff here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery for all their hospitality. Thanks to all of you for tuning in here on Heart of Ohio Sports. Make sure you share the video, like, follow, subscribe on all of our platforms. Folks, we're going to see you on Thursday night as we have Tiffin Calvert as they travel over to take on Mohawk in Sycamore. That'll be our first broadcast. And then on Friday, we're traveling over to Don Paul Stadium where Coach Long and his Little Giants will host the Tiffin Columbian Tornadoes. That's going to do it for us here tonight. I'm Nate Mullins for Greg Kinn, signing off from Benchwarmers. Have a great night, everybody.